Good afternoon and welcome to U Talk, where we hope to maximize our synergy by leveraging all available strategies. Oh shit, it's gotten to me too. If you actually managed to make sense of anything I just said, I'm so sorry, and the men in the lab coats will be coming for you shortly. Filling our communications with words that mean absolutely nothing is a pox on society, and we'd like to stop. We'd like everyone to stop. Kyle, heard any good buzzwords lately?
Way too many. Um, so in case you didn't notice from the title of the video, we are talking about buzzwords and why you need to stop using them. Long story short, yeah, let's just start with some examples. Left, right, progressive, conservative, even socialist,
Agenda.
communist, and
Even
fascism.
even
Yeah,
bloody agenda is a buzzword these days. Back in my
yeah.
day, an agenda was a thing that you looked at and you referred to and you executed. And now it's some sort of shadowy force
Like
that
it's
sits behind society and puppets us somehow. I we have an agenda for this show, kind of. It's a bit of a loose agenda. Kyle and I, broadly speaking, have an agenda towards society,
mm,
but we are very upfront about our agenda. We want to leave society in a better place than when we found it, and we want to do that by things that are proven to work.
mm.
What is the gay agenda? Because as far as I can tell, it's some quiet nights in with dinner and a good glass of red wine watching Netflix. And personally, I'm not very scared of that.
Make it sound quite nice, actually. Um, I don't know
I
about
know,
red wine though.
right?
Not my favorite. I'd prefer, I'd prefer a good old fashioned cider. Then again,
Mm.
I actually just okay. I just found my go-to drink. It's a Pink Lady apple cider. I had a weekend up away in the Blue
Oh,
Mountains.
is that the one from Bilpin?
Yes, yes, built
Yeah,
in.
that'd be the Bilpin cider.
Oh, they're
I
just
live
amazing.
right near the orchard that does that, so it's
Seriously, but then
beautiful.
we passed you
Um,
the other day then and didn't even know it. Oh,
okay, so here are some other buzzwords, right? Artisanal, sustainable,
okay. What is
green.
artisanal?
Even green is a bloody buzzword these days.
Yeah.
Oh, artisanal means that, it's made the old-fashioned way by professional wankers.
Oh, okay.
It's meant to harken back to days of yore, but it doesn't actually mean anything because an
Yeah,
artisan is simply someone who produces a specialized good. So what the fuck is artisanal when the good is already specialized?
yeah. So like
But even
one,
green is a buzzword these days. How is it green when we talk about like green vehicles where sure they're using electricity instead of crushed up dinosaurs, which is, just crushed up dinosaurs by a longer path. And they're
hmm,
made with lithium and tantalum and niobium that are ripped out of the ground in some
and
shithole on
cobalt.
the African continent. We don't give a
Yeah,
damn about their environment, but this vehicle's green.
yeah. See, that's the thing. Like it's meant to convey a feeling, and let's actually the good example is what you mentioned before, agenda. Like we have like
Vibes based
meetings.
language.
Yeah, we have a meeting has an agenda. You have a meeting with in a company. There's an agenda there. It's basically just a written, hey, these are the things we want to get done or go through or discuss. We
Yeah,
we have quite literally a written agenda for this show. It's the question and whatever notes we make about it. I've made 3 notes for this, which is basically just the things that we want to get through. And you might see me looking off to the side every now and then, as I look back to that. And
if
essentially
you see me
it's
looking off to the side, I'm either wrestling with computer aided design software, which I'm trying to install, or I'm doing research to find out more buzzwords. I look at
yeah.
policy on my second monitor. It's great.
Oh god, yeah. See, I should
And
start
all
using my
this works
second
to a
monitor
plan.
again. But yeah, so that's the word
Mm.
agenda in itself has no extra meeting than just a set of things you want to get to. But now it
Except it
conveys
is
a
used to
feeling.
convey some sort of big spooky thing.
Yeah, it's used to convey that the idea that something is done or something is trying to be done in a sinister fashion.
No,
That
not
is,
necessarily sinister. Perhaps we should say
well,
covert.
what do you think they, well, covert, yes, but I think sinister as well. When they say the gay agenda, you know, I don't
Yeah,
think they
but
mean
like I
anything
can
secret.
think of such a thing as a compassionate conspiracy, right? There is such a thing as a
Yeah.
compassionate conspiracy. Have you ever arranged like a surprise birthday party for someone? That requires
Yes.
a degree of secrecy.
Mm.
But you are trying to do something nice. Just be the idea behind the agenda, the reason it's scary is that let's look at meeting agendas, for instance. If I am the CEO of a publicly traded company, and there is an annual meeting where I describe like why my company is 20% more profitable this year due to manufacturing something desirable and selling it for shitloads of money. There's an agenda for this meeting. And even if you attend the meeting, you will likely not see the agenda because the agenda is an internal document. Certainly, it is not published openly in most cases. I think that's the thing about the agenda. It's not the idea of evil, it's the idea of secrecy. If we can't see what they, outgroup, are doing, how can we really trust them?
Mm.
Like,
You know
you
what?
don't have to say that
I
they're
think it might be
evil.
a
You
bit
just
more
have
like
to
a,
say, we really don't know.
yeah, well, I think it might even be a bit more like a Venn diagram, where it's kind of at a point where they
Mm,
overlap a bit. Probably
yeah,
probably a
yeah.
little bit more in the secrecy part, but I think there is that idea of, sinisterness to it. Partly because I think that partly goes back to I mean, it's a long sort of cultural tradition of things being done behind closed doors means it's bad. And so,
Yeah, because we can't. Well, part of this is we can't trust the people acting behind closed doors to act with integrity. And let's just put aside the gay agenda for a moment, so I can make an awful pun. Because we're just getting away from the gay agenda because instead we're in the clutches of the transmission.
oh,
Sorry.
oh God, that physically hurt.
Okay, so it used to be the
Horse,
case
are you
a very
trying to
long
kill
time
me?
ago. We've been in this before. Yes, I'm trying to kill you with amazing puns. It used to be the case once upon a time that we expected
Oh,
people in public life to act with a degree of integrity, even if we didn't know exactly what they were doing. We could
hmm,
broadly trust that they were acting according to a set of values, a moral core, and that they were acting in a way that would engender respect were everything in the open.
hmm,
If we look at the development of the US Constitution, actually, during a bunch of the meetings of the Detail Committee, it was mandated that nobody who was part of those committee meetings speak of it to anyone because they wanted to have a very utilitarian, in a way, free for all, where nobody could be fearful to put forward an idea, even if it was
hmm.
complete rubbish, because
Yeah,
that way ideas could be tried and tested openly and one need not fear one's reputation outside of chamber.
yeah, yeah.
This is
No,
an
that
example
that's
of
that's
people
part of what
acting
we're
behind
trying to
closed
do.
doors in a way that engenders respect.
Yeah, and in a way, that's what we're trying to do with what we're doing here. We're trying to, although we're
But
doing
that
it a bit
was
more
in the
publicly, but that's,
but that was a
I
very
mean,
long time ago, and we are playing a very different game, and people don't necessarily engender respect these days.
yeah.
I think it's stopped being an expectation of public office that someone will act honorably, and I think that that is a dreadful injury to society.
I was about to say
But this is
that's
why the concept of the
profoundly,
agenda is so dangerous.
yeah. I think that's profoundly disappointing, actually, that is the case. Profoundly sad. But that being said, as we blow past the halfway point, we need to actually answer the question, how and why uh, can people and should people remove these buzzwords from their political vocabulary and actually start, what other terms can they use?
I think regarding the should, I'd like to um just say that the answer there is really simple. 10
mm,
seconds max. These words have no meaning.
I was
The reason
literally
why
going to
we
say the
want to
same
remove
thing.
buzzwords is because they don't actually communicate anything.
Yeah,
The purpose of
that's
communication is to exchange information or convey an idea, not to regurgitate words that you've heard the scary man on the radio say that fill you with a vague sense of disturbance.
yeah, and
If
see the
these words convey only that, yeah, mistrust, they're
yeah,
useless.
and see the my favorite example of that would be the terms left wing and right wing. I've talked about that before on this show. I talk about I
Oh
basically won't
yeah,
shut up
left
about it.
wing loonies, right wing fanatics, but what the fuck does that actually mean?
It means nothing.
As far as I
It's
can
basically
tell,
a
as far
straw
as I
man.
can tell, these are terms used to discredit the other side by a side, who may not even
Yeah,
be part of the
or
side that they claim to identify with.
yeah, and essentially they're they're mostly used by media machines to ascribe any and all manner of meaning onto a political opponent. To
Like
to
here's the
try and
thing, right?
discredit.
Let's look at right wing fanatics, and this is more a US thing. Over in Australia, we have, I think our gun laws actually strike a pretty decent balance between
Mm,
the ability of a private citizen to get into shooting sports or to use firearms in a professional capacity, say on a farm, and preventing an overabundance of maniacs with firearms.
mm,
But if you were a person who said maybe the gun laws that we have are a little restrictive, many would brand you as right wing. Whereas someone who basically everyone agrees would be left wing, uh, one of the founding fathers of communism, Karl Marx, says, actually, was it Marx or Lenin? In either
I
case,
can't remember.
any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated with force if necessary. That is your left wing person saying, take our guns from our cold, dead hands because we don't trust you to do the right thing. And if you want to take the
Yeah,
guns, you're going to take a bullet. That is what
yeah,
would now be considered a very right wing viewpoint.
yeah,
And
and
yet there
see,
are leftists who believe in this, and there are
yeah.
people who
In fact,
identify
that
themselves as like on the right who believe in this, where
yeah,
what it actually
see,
means is that they want gun laws to be the way they like.
yeah, and see that's actually you basically half did what I was going to bring up as my favorite example of how to completely just show how bullshit these terms are, how vague, malleable, and how little real meaning they actually have and convey. Is essentially take one policy. Everyone can do this watching it right now. Take one policy, make it as extreme as you like that you would consider to be left wing. All right, just think of it. All right, write it down. Maybe I would encourage you to type it up on your thing right now. Pull open a notepad document or whatever. Just type it up. Maybe type it down in the comments even. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And in three, two, one. Now take a that's a left wing policy. Now you can now take a right wing policy that go as extreme as you'd like to be, but make it unrelated to the left wing policy that you just talked about. Completely unrelated to the supposedly left wing policy. Just name whatever right wing policy it is. Now, Horst, what two policies did you think of?
Okay, on the left hand side, I thought of guaranteeing that renters be allowed to have pets instead of it being an optional bolt on because of the need for human companionship.
Okay, all right. So
And
one
on
is
the,
pets for all renters. That's the supposedly left wing
yeah,
policy, right? Yeah. And the
yeah.
supposedly right wing policy, what would that be? The unrelated to the left wing policy, all right? The unrelated policy
Does it have to be
that's
completely
supposedly very
unrelated? Because I
yes.
absolutely would love the right to keep foxes as pets.
I mean, look, you can do that one as
We don't
well,
actually allow that in Australia.
but
Okay, no,
yeah, I mean they're
for
technically a
right
feral
wing,
species, but
let's say the freedom to go to school without having had vaccinations for every child.
okay. So you have that. So you have the right to a pet and the right to not undergo a
Not be
good medical
vaxxed.
procedure that will, probably save your life. But the right to not be vaxxed. All right. Now put those things
Mm-hmm.
together. Are they incompatible?
No, and I'd argue that the right to go to school without having been vaccinated can be reframed as a left-wing policy, the right
Yeah,
of every
yeah, but
child to a
that's
quality education. And
yeah.
the left-wing
See,
policy can be reframed as
that's actually so.
right-wing, the right
That's
of
actually
renters to, yeah, just
yeah.
have what the
That right
fuck they
there,
want.
that right there is actually that that right there is actually part of what I'm including in the documentary is the art of reframing. But that's a whole different
Okay,
thing. So let's
stop
just stick to
talking about the damn
the.
documentary. We
I'm
get it, you
getting to
vape.
it. That's not. Stop distracting me, Horst. So anyway, so we've got your left wing policy. You know, for whoever is taking
Mhm.
part in this, they've written it down there. We've got the right wing policy, written it down there as well. And for you, yours was the right to have a pet and the right to refuse a vaccination for any reason, regardless of safety concerns. With
Yep.
an example being children in
The
school.
ultimate right to personal medical autonomy, shall we say.
Yes, although that's a bit technical. Let's keep it layman's terms. So put those policies together, put it together, and you don't actually have any conflict there. Both of those can coexist in the
congratulations.
one
We've
political
just developed
ideology
the
at the same time.
we've just developed the party of let renters have pets and let plague spreading crotch goblins go to school.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the thing though.
For
You
those of
can
you
do
who
that.
have children, I'm sure your crotch goblin is lovely and not a plague spreader at all.
Yeah, anyway, so you can do that with a whole bunch of different policies. I once did it with a friend who I actually hope to have on this show at some point. He basically he said government ownership of anything and end user pays for everything. So no government bulk billing or anything or pays like that. But the government does own everything. Now you put those together and you can also have those at the same time. You
Put
can have
those
the government
together and
own
you get a
everything.
very broken economy.
Oh yeah, you do. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but the thing is though, those two aren't ideologically opposed to each other. So all you have to do is just pick two unrelated policies that you would consider to be left wing or right wing, and you put them together, and you can go as extreme as you like. And those two extreme policies, it's not like they make a centrist. So it doesn't.
No.
Yeah, I mean like
Horseshoe
the right.
theory was a mistake.
Yeah, so essentially what you have is terms that break that easily. And so, we're running out. We've basically run out of time, so we'll sort of end it here. But real quickly,
I've got the how here.
Go for it, then. Go for it.
Say what you mean what you say, do what you say you'll do. Like, these are three tenets of clear communication as far as I'm concerned. They remove ambiguity and they instill trustworthiness. Do you want to be trustworthy in everyday life? Then develop a reputation of your word being impeccable and also inscrutable.
True. But I will add one thing to that. It's that don't use these words. Use words that properly describe what and define what you are actually trying to say. Use words.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not going to turn in the direction of the Greens or the direction of the Liberals when I'm on the highway, So I think it's context. Context is everything here.
I mean, yes.
Yes. Turn Greenswood at the next crossroads.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is basically if you're if instead of saying your policy is left wing or right wing, say your policy has X effect on the economy and is in the human interest or the corporate interest. Describe it in terms of who it serves, because those are real, very real and practical terms. Now, again, we've run over time now. We'll let you go. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.
Good night, y'all.